All right, what's up? We are back here again for week number 11 of 11, and what a fantastic weekend of football we just had. 6 game-winning field goals as the clock expired, the most in a single weekend in NFL history. The bottom tier teams are starting to settle down there. There's some movement at the top. There's a whole lot of movement in the middle. The playoff races are starting to heat up. It should be a fantastic finish. Everyone kind of settle in, buckle up, get ready for it. Let's get into it though, what you came here for. Let's start off with our bottom tier teams, but first, let's remember these are power rankings, not the standings, but let's get into it. Teams 32 to 23. All right, the Carolina Panthers, still the worst team in the league. The Giants and Tommy DeVito, get your shoebox, kid, you're gonna get whacked. Pretty awful. The Patriots, I'm surprised they didn't leave McCorkle over there in Germany. A disaster. Could this be the end of Bill Belichick? The Bears, cool, you beat the Panthers. Barely. Cardinals showing a little bit of life. Kyler Murray, welcome back to the league. It's a nice dub for the Cardinals. And hey, this team isn't very talented, but Kyler Murray, good quarterback play. They can win some games. They play hard. Seem to be a well-coached team. They're very much overachiever, it feels like, week in and week out. And hey, Washington, they played a close game. Sam Howell's okay. They can't protect. They take too many sacks. They traded away their pass rush. Ron Rivera is going to be without a job. I don't know how they didn't go for 2 at the end of that Seattle game. They're kind of whatever. Green Bay, Jordan Love looked a lot better this week, but still they couldn't get the job done. They outgained Pittsburgh. They lose to Pittsburgh. That's kind of what Pittsburgh does. It feels like these Packers aren't very good, but some positive signs for Jordan Love at least. Falcons, throw Arthur Smith into the sun. I mean, he's going to get fired. Ritter comes in. He gets the game-winning touchdown, it looks like, and then they give up the field goal to Kyler Murray at the end of the game. This Falcons team has fallen way off, but they're only a game back in that pathetic NFC South. I hate this Falcons team. They should be so much better than what they are. Tennessee, pretty awful on offense. Will Levis looked like a rookie. I'm not going to say he didn't turn the ball over really. It wasn't really one of those awful games. He just kind of looked like a rookie. They couldn't move the football at all against one of the worst ranked passing defenses in the league in Tampa Bay. So kind of disappointed with 10 days off. They didn't look that good. 23, Vegas, Antonio Pierce got this team playing some good ball. Now, it was ugly. They played the Jets. It was way closer than it probably should have been, but they looked like they were going to lose this game. They had no life in the first half. They bounced back in the second half, and it seems like they're having fun, so good for Vegas. Somehow Vegas has 5 wins now. Like, what's going on here? I still don't think they're very good, but they at least seem to be enjoying life with now that McDaniels is gone, so good for them. I just don't think they're a great team, but let's get into it. Our middle tier teams now, teams 22 through 16. Okay, Colts, you won a game in Germany. It was ugly. It wasn't good, but those foreign games seem to kind of always be ugly. Colts, another team with more wins than you were like, what are they doing here? So look at the Colts. They're still technically in the hunt. AFC South wild card, they're there. Gardner Minshew's not a bad quarterback. He's kind of decent. Rams, they were on a bye this week. Not much to say about them. We'll see if Stafford's coming back. They signed Carson Wentz. If they're riding with Carson Wentz the rest of the way, they're going to find themselves in that lower tier very quickly. Look at the Denver Broncos, 3 wins in a row. This is really a tale of 2 seasons for the Broncos. We know about that 70-point game they gave up. They gave up 31 to the Zach Wilson Jets. But after that, this has been a very sharp defensive unit. Kind of flipped it on its head. They had a short week against Kansas City, held them to 19 points, and they've been awesome since then. It's kind of amazing how much this defense has changed. And Russell Wilson hasn't been bad all year. He does some wild card stuff now that you're not necessarily used to seeing with Russell, but they've won 3 in a row. They just won a big road game. They should have lost that game against the Bills, but they won it. And now they got a nice matchup, primetime matchup at home against Josh Dobbs and the Vikings. A lot to play for here. Could this Broncos team find themselves in the playoff hunt? I think possibly they can. They're well balanced on offense. They can throw the ball. They can run the ball. They're playing defense. I don't know. It is the Broncos. It's hard to shake that perception, but right now Broncos at 20, Jets 19. They're abysmal. Zach Wilson, cool. He had a decent line. He was horrible in the fourth quarter. Leads the NFL in fourth quarter turnovers. They can't win with him. Another team, don't you wish you traded for Josh Dobbs, Jet fans? You could have had anybody but Zach Wilson. They stayed with Zach Wilson. It's been a disaster since the bye. This is a real shame. Everybody's going to get fired. They're going to lose their jobs. Rodgers talking about a mid-December comeback. No shot. This defense can only do so much. They haven't been as good as you would think they've been, but the offense doesn't put them in great spots. They're on the field a lot. The Saints, the Saints lose to Minnesota. Derek Carr gets knocked out of that game. Honestly, I saw a little bit more life with Jameis Winston, get some 2 touchdowns and 2 2-point conversions. He does have a couple of Winston picks. Defense, they got carved up in the first half by Dobbs. A very good second half, holding them to 3 points, but they didn't force any turnovers. This is a secondary that leads the league, or led the league in interceptions coming in to this weekend, and they just didn't force any turnovers for them. So, but the NFC South is terrible. They are technically in first place with this, but there's still everything to play for in this division. One of these teams is going to host a playoff game. Tampa Bay, a nice win from the Buccaneers. Maybe that Texans loss wasn't so bad. They kind of dominated and controlled this Titans team. This Tampa Bay team, you can never kind of quite figure out what they are. They're not good. They're good. They're sometimes good. They're bad. They just kind of feel super average, kind of like their quarterback, Baker Mayfield. Mike Evans always getting it done. Another big day from him. This team really got to get this secondary figured out. They had a good weekend against Tennessee. I want to see more consistency from this passing defense. They have an awesome run defense. They shut down the run. They just can't stop anybody in the passing game. But the division is terrible. Tampa Bay is right there. They're a game and a half back of Minnesota for that 7th wildcard spot, and they have the tiebreaker against the Vikings. So there is a chance if they can't get this division title. It's just weird. And at 16, the Bills, that should have counted for 4 losses tonight. Awful, awful stuff from them. Josh Allen is broken. A 3 turnover game from the Bills. Broken. 4 turnovers, actually. It's totally broken. Josh Allen, maybe the Chiefs just malfunctioned his brain that 13-second game. The defense can't stop anybody. They kind of stopped them a little bit, but not really. It's the Broncos. You should stop them maybe more. Just way too many turnovers. Zero consistency. They just seem like they're the new Chargers. Whenever it comes down to the clutch, they're going to screw up. They're going to lose this game. It's just a really terrible look. I don't trust the Bills at all anymore. Their Super Bowl window is closed. McDermott's going to get fired. He probably should. He's a bad head coach, it feels like. They need an offensive guy. They need somebody in control. 12 men on the field for that. Just so much bad from the Bills. But everybody, let's get into what you came here for. Your top 15 teams. Starting off, number 15, another team I can't stand at all. Okay, number 15, I got the LA Chargers. You know how I feel about the Chargers. You know how I, in particular, feel about Brandon Staley. Look, the Chargers just feel like they're always going to lose a close game. They've played 100 one-score games in the last 10 seasons. That's insane. It's always a close game, and it feels like they're always going to lose. Herbert was really bad in the first quarter, then lit it up against the Lions. Now, the Lions defense aren't world beaters, but they had been solid. They didn't give up any sacks. Keenan Allen, a monster day. And their defense is horrible. It's a bottom passing defense. They can't stop anybody. The Lions move the ball up and down the field against the Chargers. It really shouldn't have been this close. The Lions probably should have had 50 points and not 41. But it isn't a bad loss. It was at home, but they don't really play at home. Everybody's road fans, especially this time of the year, want to go out to LA. It's getting bad weather in most of the country, so they want to get out a nice sunny vacation. Look, the Chargers are going to Charger. It is a saying. They're right in the mix of it in the wild card in the AFC. They still feel like they're a good enough offense that they can get into the playoffs. Herbert's awesome. I like Eckler a lot. Keenan Allen's the man. Their defense, Brandon Staley, their coaching, that's going to be the limits for this team. Every weekend you're like, oh, we're playing the Chargers. We should beat the Chargers. Or every week it's like, oh, we're playing the Chargers. That's kind of a tough matchup. You just never know week to week. It kind of always feel like fool's gold. But yeah, it's, Chargers going to Charger. Okay, number 14, the Houston Texans. Welcome to the top 15, Houston. What can I say? CJ Stroud might be the best rookie quarterback we have ever seen. Back-to-back game-winning drives inside of 2 minutes. The first rookie in the last 40 years to do something like that. And DeMeco Ryans, maybe coach of the year. This has been a fantastic job all around. Now, we were high on the Texans. We thought they would start slow and have a blistering finish to the season. And they started a little bit better than I thought they would. They're now right there in the thick of it. They're currently in the playoffs at that 7 seed. Who would have guessed? They're really, really going to look back and regret blowing that game against Carolina coming out of the bye. But sometimes it happens. 2 back-to-back big wins. They go into Cincinnati. They're controlling that game late. It looks like they've blown that game. And then CJ comes down and wins it for them. I'm very impressed with this Texans team. They're fun, they're spunky, they can throw the football. Singletary out of nowhere has a monster day running the football. If they can have more consistency running the ball, CJ Stroud's going to pick people apart. They had their worst day turning the ball over, 3 turnovers for Houston, and they still managed to get it done. Now, the defense is a problem, but this is a young defensive unit. They give up big plays, they give up scores. That's going to happen. They're still developing. I just feel like Houston's a team you don't want to really play right now. They're hot, they're spunky, they're feisty. And look, they've already beat the Jaguars. They have a path to winning this division. They don't look strong at all, Jacksonville. I wouldn't be shocked if Houston somehow, some way pulled out this AFC South, but this is a lot of fun to watch. This is going to be an enjoyable team. They shouldn't be this good, but they're good, man. They're a good football team, and I trust them down the stretch now more than I trust most of these teams. It feels like CJ's a winner. Everybody must have been wrong on him. Well, not everybody. Houston believes in him. You never see Ohio State quarterbacks do it. And this is not a fluke. There is nothing fluky about this. Now, is he going to come back to the mean a little bit? Probably. He's going to go through some bumps and bruises. But right now, this Texans team is jacked up. They're very well coached. And I'm just a big, big fan of the Texans here at 14. Okay, this just feels wrong to have the Steelers here at 13. Another game where they are outgained by their opponent, yet they have a winning record. They've been outgained in every single game this season, and they're the only team ever in the history of the NFL to have that happen and have a winning record. Now, they've played 6 of 9 at home so far, so they're about to be on the road to finish out this season where a team like this can struggle. Now, the offense looked a little bit better in the first half, but still, it was nice to finally see Warren give him the ball. Najee Harris is not that guy. It just kind of happens. You got to be able to move on. Warren with a 100-yard game. Pickens got the ball a little bit. I think he only had 45 yards receiving. This team just really struggles to pass the ball. Kenny Pickett, not great. Another team that's like, hey, we kind of had Josh Dobbs. Maybe Josh Dobbs could be our quarterback. Now, I get it, younger guy, but Kenny Pickett's really not that young. He's 26 years old. He's an old-ass man. Kenny Pickett was in college for 6 years. So I think Pittsburgh's going to need to get a new quarterback. Kenny Pickett's not that guy. The front 7 of the defense is awesome. The secondary is abysmal. But Mike Tomlin is a super good head coach. He gets his team to compete. He gets his gritty wins, especially when they're dogs, when nobody believes in them. He just wins close games. He's the opposite of Brandon Staley. They don't fold late. And look, are they fool's gold? Probably. Kind of feel like my Vikings of last year, just like a team that just kept winning games despite every stat saying this is not a good football team. And, the AFC North is stacked, but they're in good standings right now. They're sitting in second place. Maybe I think they're in second. Yeah, I think they're in second behind the Ravens, but everybody's all jumbled up in this AFC North. It's going to be a tough road to finish this thing out, but I think the Steelers can do it. They only got to win 3 games to get to 9 wins. That gives them a winning record. Maybe that gets them into the playoffs, 4 games to get to that 10 spot. It's a really tough spot to be in and kind of figure out what the Steelers team is going to do moving forward, because week in and week out, I do not trust them. I do not believe in them. But in the end of the day, I kind of do trust them and I kind of do believe in them. It's going to look ugly. It's going to look bad, but they catch W's, man. So Steelers here at 13. Okay, at number 12 here, I got the Seahawks. Another kind of disappointing performance from the Seahawks for me this week. They should have blown out a bad Commanders team, but hey, maybe Pete Carroll likes playing these close games, grinding it out. Defense gives up a score late. I don't know why Ron Rivera didn't go for 2 to take the lead, but Geno, best drive of the season, gets them into field goal range, hits DK a couple of times, team looked dead, bang home the field goal, walk away at winners. This is just kind of an average to good football team with Geno Smith, who's not very consistent. He's been pretty bad this year at quarterback, but he's getting better. I think this is a team that's maybe a year away if they can find a new quarterback. I really want them to upgrade at quarterback. I love Kenneth Walker. I really like that wide receiver core. DK is going to be DK, and he's going to do DK things, but Tyler Lockett and JSN are as good of a 2-3 pairing you're going to find in this league, and the defense is young and hungry. Offensive line's kind of an issue. They're very banged up. They're getting healthier, but they're still just kind of whatever. Defense is where I like it. The secondary's been really good after a shaky start to the season. The run defense so much improved to last year. This just feels like a young and upcoming team with Pete Carroll, who's kind of the second oldest coach in the NFL, maybe the oldest coach. He's one of them, him and Bill, and he feels like the youngest coach in the NFL. full of life, full of vibrance. I just feel like the Seahawks are super average. We're going to see them slide, I think, in the coming weeks. Their schedule is a gauntlet. They got San Francisco twice. They got the Cowboys. I think they got the Eagles too. Just the heavy hitters of the NFC. It's going to be really tough sledding for them. But hey, if the Seahawks prove me wrong, get those dubs against those great teams, we're going to be really looking at the Seahawks as a serious contender again. Okay, number 11 here. I got the Jacksonville Jags down 3 spots. I didn't love what I saw from the Jags this weekend at all. Coming off the bye, longest winning streak in the NFL. Now they're playing a desperate and hungry 49ers team, but they got smacked around. They don't block anybody. The offensive line is awful. They got everybody back and they're still not good. Lawrence was under duress, but this team, as soon as they go down 10 points, it feels like it's over. What's up with Trevor Lawrence? Maybe he's just not that guy we thought he was going to be. He's a solid quarterback, franchise quarterback, but he's not in that upper echelon of quarterbacks. Doug Peterson's coaching, kind of questionable. It just feels like there's not enough spark, not enough creativity anymore. Kind of feels dull from them. ETN did get banged up in this game, and they really have relied on him over this winning streak, but not good. The defense, every week, I tell you, do I know this offense is good? Do I think it's good? Yes. Do I think the defense is good? Yes, kind of. Not really sure. And it kind of showed. The defense was awful against Frisco. They got bullied around. The game was close, and the Niners just poured it on. Lots of turnovers from the offense. Just a really bad performance from the Jags. Everybody's going to have these performances, but the Jags just kind of feel like, not a good division. They've let down in big spots this season. They don't have enough firepower. I need to see more firepower from the offense. I need to see more tenacity from the defense. Like I said, they kind of feel like one of those teams. They get a big lead. They get on a roll. They're really tough to beat. But we look at the Pittsburgh win. They didn't look good at all against Pittsburgh. It was bad weather, but still, I just don't know what to do with these Jaguars. I thought they would be a lot better. I thought they would look a lot better than they've looked this season. I was pretty high on them coming into the year, but just like a really, really disappointing performance. Now, everybody's kind of had that performance in the tops of the NFL. Everyone's kind of had a dud. I want to see how they bounce back. I just want to see more out of Trevor Lawrence in this offense, kind of put people away. They got to protect better. They got to have better play calling. Just all around, a lot left to be desired with these Jags. All right, don't look now, but the Minnesota Vikings now on the longest winning streak in the NFL of 5 straight, led by quarterback, the passer not, Josh Dobbs. 2 straight wins for the new quarterback, and I don't know what to say about this Vikings team. They started the season off terrible, 0-3, games that they should have won, but it was the turnover problems. This team is so much better than what it was last year, more complete on offense, way better on defense. This is a top 15 unit, top 12 unit even in some spots. Now, the injuries are starting to rack up for Minnesota. We know they're on Dobbs, their 4th quarterback. They're missing Justin Jefferson for 5 games, but they're 5-0 without him. Kind of crazy to think about. He should be coming back into the fold. They were missing KJ Osborne, their 3rd receiver this week. Madison went down with a concussion. They lost Cam Akers with an Achilles. Just injuries are piling up for this Vikings team, and their bye is still 2 weeks away after the Chicago Bears. This is a tough spot. If they can grind out, get to the byes, win one of these next 2, they're at Denver on Sunday night, got Chicago at home Monday night. You just got to split with them. You're going to have 7 wins heading into the bye in a really good spot to make the playoffs. I think they're minus 230 to make the playoffs in Vegas right now. So this is kind of a very well-rounded team. And Josh Dobbs, he looked like a mix of Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes in the first half against the Saints. Not as good of a second half, but he's still getting into this offense. It's kind of crazy. The guy's a genius. He's got weapons galore. He's going to get more. And I just kind of think this Vikings team is scrappy and they find ways to win games down the stretch. That's what they've been doing on this win streak. Critical 2 games coming up here. Just got to go 1-1. If you can win 2-0, they're essentially a lock to make the playoffs. Don't think it's going to be enough to catch the Lions on how good they are. But this Vikings team is kind of fun to watch, and they're solid all around. They feel very kind of just good, not great, but good. They're going to score points. They're going to play defense. They're going to blitz your quarterback, and they're starting to force turnovers. They got a turnover in every one of these games on this winning streak. So big fan of the Vikings right now here at number 10. Number 9, I got the Bengals here at 9, dropping them 3 spots. Look, it wasn't a terrible loss. Houston's a good team, I think. It's just kind of the way the game progressed. opened up the game with a touchdown on the first drive, looked awesome. I know they were banged up. They're probably looking ahead to this Thursday against the Ravens in a must-win spot for them. And they kind of fell apart in the second, third quarter. They did nothing. Texans built a big lead. They clawed themselves back. Burrow made the play. Tyler Boyd dropped what would have been the go-ahead touchdown. Probably wins them that game if he hangs onto that ball. They have to settle for the field goal. It's kind of an ugly loss for the Bengals. But look, they have everything to prove now. They're sitting out of the playoffs as we speak. They're 5-4, I believe. They got to get a win at Baltimore to get back into firm standing. And I don't know if they can, but I do like this team. It was just a weird game. The defense usually shuts people down in the second half. They make that adjustment, and they just didn't do it this week. They weren't able to stop CJ Stroud really at all in the second half. Forced some turnovers, which helped them out, but when they needed points, they got points. Houston, they got to get healthier. Jamar Chase didn't look right. They were out without T. Higgins. They didn't run the ball effectively at all. I need to see more Joe Mixon. This team is so much better when they're balanced, but it's all said and done. When it comes down to it, I do really trust Joe Burrow to make the plays to win games, and he did this week. They should have won that game, but they didn't. It's an L, so Bengals here at number 9. All right, I got the Cleveland Browns here at number 8. I don't love the Browns here at 8. I don't know if I can really trust them, but boy, oh boy, Myles Garrett is really making a case for the Defensive Player of the Year. He is just unstoppable right now. A complete game wrecker pops off the screen. The defense hasn't been great as you would think it has been all season. Now, there have been some awesome performances, obviously, but they gave up some points this week. 31 points. I know they threw a pick 6, but I'm really, really impressed at the tenacity of this Browns team. It's kind of an anti-Browns game. They throw a pick 6 on like the first play of the game. Go down. They're trailing the whole game. They're down 14 points late. This team had never come back from a 14-point deficit against an AFC North opponent, and they managed to make it work. Watson goes 14 of 14 in the second half. By far the best game we've seen Deshaun Watson play in a Browns uniform. He wasn't great. He wasn't crisp. He was really kind of working the shoulder. Is he going to be out? I just don't know if Deshaun Watson loves football anymore. Kind of feels like he doesn't want to be out there half of the time, but he had a strong second half, got them up and down the field. They got the big plays. They get the pick 6. They miss the extra point to tie the game. And that doesn't faze them. They get the ball back. They get in the field goal range. Hopkins locks it up. And Stefanski, I kind of always wait for Stefanski to make that boneheaded coaching decision to screw things up. And he didn't this week. So I got to give a lot of credit to the Browns. It's a huge, huge win for them. They're firmly in this playoff race. I think the Browns are going to be able to do it. If we can get a lot more games like we saw this weekend from Deshaun Watson, this is going to be a very good Browns team. We need some more consistency on defense. But hey, maybe they let up a little bit. They've been played a lot of minutes on the field. The offense hasn't been good enough for them. This team has potential. I just don't know what they're going to do with Deshaun Watson at quarterback. It's there. We see glimpses of it. It's just, I don't know if I can trust him. I don't know if anybody can really trust Deshaun Watson. And obviously, nobody's rooting for Deshaun Watson as a whole. So for right now, Browns at number 8. Please don't let me down, Brownies, and drop an egg and lose this weekend awfully. Keep showing them that you're a tough team, you're a physical team, that teams aren't going to want to see in the playoffs because that defense is going to beat you up. And maybe Watson just has enough with Njoku, with Amari Cooper, with whoever they got running the football back there and Ford and Hunt. This team could just be enough to get a playoff win and maybe shock some people in January. Okay, number 7, I got the Dallas Cowboys here at 7, up 2 spots. Look, we knew Dallas was going to destroy the Giants. The Giants don't even have an NFL football team, it feels like, anymore at this point in time. And the Cowboys are dominant at home. They blow out bad teams at home. Look at their point differential in games at home. Feel good, though, Cowboy fans. You dominated the Giants this year, like 86-17. You outscored this team. So it feels good if you're a Cowboys fan. But we just kind of know what the Cowboys are. They're going to look good against bad teams. When they're in tough games against good teams, they're going to struggle and fold late. They still got a lot of tough games on the schedule. Not as tough as I would like it to see to really test this team, but they still have a couple of tough ones out there. They got to play Philly again at home. They got to play the Lions also, and they got to play the Dolphins too. So they're going to have a couple of prove-it games, but they got a couple softies as well. look, what can you say about Dallas? Now, Dak has looked really good the last few weeks against bad secondaries, and so does CeeDee Lamb. That's what you want to see. They're carving up bad secondaries. That's really, really important. They're kind of not looking mediocre against bad secondaries. What's going on with Tony Pollard, though? Get this man in the damn end zone. I think it's a ploy. They don't want to pay him. They want to sign him again. He's on that franchise tag. So just say, oh, look at your stats. You didn't score touchdowns. We don't give him the damn ball in the red zone. It's kind of getting ridiculous, Dallas. But there's not much to say about the Cowboys. We got to know what the Cowboys are. And until they prove otherwise, they're going to be sitting around here 6-7. All right, thanks to the Bengals, Dolphins are getting bumped up a spot on a bye. Look, Dolphins are kind of exactly like the Cowboys. They're going to blow out bad teams, run up the score, and against good teams, they get out physical, they get pushed around, and they aren't able to move the ball. Now, the defense has looked better against, other opponents. Like, they looked decent against Philly for a lot of that game. They looked good against Kansas City in the second half. They're going to get better. I think the defense is going to get better, which they're going to need. Now, Devon Achane's going to be coming back, getting him in the backfield. Mostert's been very serviceable. He's getting the touchdowns. He's getting the yards. But Devon Achane is an explosive home run hitter that's really going to help out this run game. If they're able to soften things up, pound the rock, pick up 6-7 yards per carry on people, really soften up that secondary coverage, and let Tua get the ball out to Tyreek, this offense could get back on track. I'm really interested to see how the Dolphins look against like the Cowboys. I can't wait to watch that game. I think they're playing like a physical team that's going to be physical on defense, try and throw off their timing. I want to see what they look like with this run game, with this team healthy. Offensive line's kind of a train wreck for them. We'll see how they look coming out of the bye. Again, the Dolphins just kind of feel like the Cowboys. I do trust the Dolphins a little bit more, I think. Just in an end game, I think they can go get those points if they need to win. But it's really, we're splitting hairs between these two teams. They feel a lot like each other. They're just kind of the Cowboys of South Beach, or the AFC, really. Two perfect teams. I can't wait to watch them play each other here in a few weeks. So, yeah, Dolphins here at 6. Okay, number 5. Gotta drop the Ravens down here to number 5. I know a lot of people kind of push me. We want the Ravens at 1. Maybe the Ravens are too high. Damn it, the Ravens just are who we thought they are. This was the stuff I was talking about early in the season when people were killing me that I didn't have the Ravens high enough. They're awful, and with double-digit leads, it feels like under Harbaugh. Look at the record. It's way worse than everybody else in the league with a double-digit lead, especially for a team that's as good as the Ravens. I don't know how they blew this game to Cleveland. They were dominating this game. They were completely in control. We saw kind of January playoff Lamar, though, that we've seen the few times. He just kind of shuts down, isn't able to move the ball. They stop him running. And it's just ugly. It was really ugly all around from the Ravens. The pick six really wasn't his fault. Took an insane deflection. So I'm not going to put that on him, but I just don't get Baltimore. This defense, number 1 defense in football, they got carved up by kind of a mediocre offense, we would say, with the Brownies and Deshaun Watson. They couldn't get the stop when they needed it. They had the game in their hands, and they let them make the plays to beat them. So very disappointed in the Ravens. A now must win game at home Thursday night against the Bengals. If they lose this game at home against the Bengals, maybe the division gets out of hand and you're never going to believe this team can win a Super Bowl. I'm very disappointed in the Ravens this week. Probably the worst loss of anybody this season, or at least this week, I should say. I don't know about the season, maybe the season. I just really feel bittered and slighted by this Ravens team for letting me down. Shout out to the Ravens fans out there who called this one and said they knew it was happening. Shout out to you guys. You know your team better than me, obviously. Just very disappointed, but still, the defense is good. We need to see them tested more. The offense, I think, is good. They scored some points, but are they good with the lead when they got to close out games? It's crazy they're not better. Please run Mitchell more. He's clearly one of your best backs. I know Gus Bus is solid, but Mitchell's having a monster game, and they just kind of stopped running him. I just don't like this. I think maybe Harbaugh's the issue here. We got Harbaugh issues going all along. All football are problems, but I think maybe they need a new change at head coach. Honestly, it feels weird. The Tucker situation, he misses the field goal. You don't help him out. You scoop the field goal back. He misses that. It's just like kind of weird in Baltimore right now. Still a good football team, but just very disappointed with them lately. All right, number 4, I got the Detroit Lions here. I know the Ravens killed the Lions at home a few weeks ago. They dominated them. Look, Lamar and them are great against NFC teams the first time, so I'm not really going to hold that against the Lions. I trust this Lions team. That was a great win for the Lions on the road in LA. Now, I know they had a lot of fans there, but they showed a toughness and tenacity. Dan Campbell is the man at head coach. His guys believe in him. He's going for it on fourth down. He puts the game in his guys' hands. Kind of the opposite of Brandon Staley always going for it. Campbell seems to absolutely know when it's the right time to make those plays. They tie game, they go down the field, they convert a fourth down in a sussy field goal range like you should make it, but we see it get missed. They convert, they run the clock out, they kick that thing away. Jared Goff indoors and at home. He was on the road, but he was indoors. Either way, he's been awesome. Maybe Jared Goff is just good. Maybe he is a top 10 quarterback. He was the first overall pick. He does have the talent. He seems to be highly confident in the offense. He doesn't turn the ball over much. They have awesome weapons. The two-headed monster now, Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery, good God, that's a whole handful to deal with. The offensive line is mean and nasty. Maybe the best offensive line in the league. If not top 2, then they're a great unit. They protect Goff, make things comfortable. You got the sun god at wide receiver. He's a monster. You wish you had a little bit else out there at wideout. Maybe Jameson Williams will come on through a great block on Montgomery's touchdown run. You got Laporta at tight end. He's as good of a rookie as you're going to see at the tight end spot. He's been awesome. The defense is a concern now. They don't get to the quarterback. 0 sacks against the Chargers team that has given up some sacks this year. We worried about the pass rush. We talked about them trading for a pass rush, and the Chargers are moving the ball on them. So the defense is the concern with this team, but they do have just kind of a grit, a belief, a feel that they're going to win every close game. When they need to make the plays, they're going to make said plays. It's just kind of a belief that this team has. They should win this division. I know Minnesota's coming on strong, but they built up a nice, comfy lead. They have 2 games against Minnesota to end the season. I'm loving the Lions right now. We knew this would be a good football team, and this game against LA kind of cemented that they are definitely for real, and the schedule is very soft. They have a real chance to get the 1 seed in the NFC. If they get that bye, get that home game, and you get the Lions in an NFC championship game at home, they're awesome. That team is awesome at home. Now, are they going to be able to do it this year? I don't know, but this is a team that is trending in the right direction. They're great since last year. They're like 15-4 in their last 19. They've been an elite squad. And yeah, I'm just all in on the Lions right now. Okay, number 3, welcome back, San Francisco. I kind of wanted to put the Niners back at number 1 with that win right there, but I can't quite yet do that. The thing is, you trust San Francisco. They're battle-tested. They're playoff-tested. They needed this game. They had dropped 3 in a row. They get the bye. They get healthy. Welcome back, Debo. It's just incredible to watch how much more difficult life is for defenses with Debo in the game. He doesn't even have to get the ball. With the motions they create, the leverages, you have McCaffrey, you have Kittle. When you have your weapons, Trent Williams, they're healthy. This offense is unstoppable, it feels like, when everybody's healthy, everybody's good to go. Brock Purdy not going to turn the ball over like he has over the last few games. He got that back under control. It's really quite something to watch, this Niners team. And you went out, you added Chase Young, you bolstered a pass rush where Bosa wasn't really quite getting it done with the rest of that D-line, not at all. You add Chase Young, you add a whole hell of a lot of issues for an offensive line to pick up 2 elite pass rushing ends when they're getting after it. Linebackers are awesome. Secondary is kind of the biggest area of concern. They do get beat up by some people. You can throw the ball against this team, but I think it's really going to improve with the improved pass rush. This is a greatly coached team. They're going to figure this thing out. I wasn't really worried about the Niners. I didn't think they would do that to Jacksonville, what they did. I'm super high on the Niners. Let's see how they finish this thing out. They get the Seahawks twice to wrap up this division, and you just trust the Niners. This is a postseason tested team. Super Bowl is really the limit for this team. I didn't sell my stock really at all, and they proved me right. Good job, Niners. Keep it up. I don't want to face this team in January. All right, even though they're on the bye, bump the Chiefs up here to number 2. Look, I just trust this Chiefs team no matter what. The defense has been excellent this year. This is an elite unit. They stop everybody, it feels like, and you can never say that on a Patrick Mahomes team ever. ever. Really good defensive unit. They tackle well. They get after the quarterback. They don't let you pick up yards, and they definitely don't give up a lot of points. Awesome unit for them. The biggest concern with the Chiefs is the passing game. Funny enough, they just can't really move the football. The wide receivers, you don't really trust. Maybe Rice is coming on. I do like him. Travis Kelce's starting to look his age, and he's got a whole lot of other stuff going on. He's gallivanting down in Argentina with his boo. Good for him. But, dude, you had couple bad games in a row, feels like. You got to be working on that stuff on the bye, man. I just need to see a more sharp offense from the Chiefs overall. But they win games. They're 7-2. They're first place in the AFC. They're probably going to be hosting the AFC Championship game or the Arrowhead Invitational, as it's being known as these days. The rest of the AFC just not really there. Chiefs have the tiebreakers on a lot of these teams too. This is just kind of what the Chiefs do. Not going to look pretty. Get to the postseason. Trust Mahomes. Trust Andy Reid. Even if it looks ugly, they need to go get a field goal to go win the game in January. They're going to go do it. I just believe in them. You're going to have to prove me wrong. So Chiefs here at number 2. Okay, on a bye also, number 1, your Philadelphia Eagles. Look, Philly has not looked sharp as a whole throughout the season. We feel like they could be a lot better, but they still only one loss team in the NFL. They've beaten some good teams. They really wish they didn't lose to the Jets. I'm sure they should be undefeated. It's ugly. It's not pretty, but that's just kind of the mentality, and that's kind of the image of the Eagles. That's the city of Philadelphia. Gritty, ugly, hard-working, lunch pail type of dudes. The brotherly shove everybody hates. They run it to perfection. A.J. Brown has really emerged as that top-tier type of wide receiver, tier 1 guy. He's a big body. That's a grown-ass man amongst men out there. And you got Devontae Smith running on the other side. I want to see him get the ball more. Dallas Goedert's out now. You want to wonder how that tight end situation is going to pan out. Now, they haven't been using the tight end as much. They can run the ball with Swift. I would like to see that more. I want to see more out of the offense. Hurts gets the week off, gets to heal. He's looked banged up. His body's taking a beating. Defense is really good up front. You cannot run the football against the Eagles. The secondary is a concern for them. They need some help in the secondary. That's not coming, so they got to get that thing figured out. They don't rush the passer quite as good as they did last year, but it's still getting better. I think the Eagles as a whole, if they can get to that potential, are the best team right now. But we'll see how it plays out. They got the Chiefs on Monday night, a Super Bowl rematch. I'm very excited to see this game, see how these two matchups. Somebody's going to be number 1, cement themselves, Philly, or maybe the Chiefs are jumping into that one spot. It's a huge, huge game for them on prime time for everybody to see, and it's a prove-it game. We haven't seen the Eagles look good enough and beat the top-tier teams. They didn't look great against Dallas, but they did beat Dallas. Do it again. Beat the Chiefs. Maybe this is just who the Eagles are. But for right now, Eagles here at number 1. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Who am I too high on? Who am I too low on? Are you a believer in the Browns? Could they actually be this type of team? What about the Lions? Kind of crazy. And am I selling my Raven stock too early? What about those sleeper Cowboys? Could they actually get it done in the postseason? There's still a whole lot of seeding and moving around to be done. We got 8 weeks left coming into this season, at least 8 games for everybody. It should be a lot of fun. If you haven't already, hit that thumbs up. Really helps the channel out a lot. Beat that YouTube algorithm. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already. We got new sports content every single day. If you want to support the channel more, click that join button. Join the channel membership. We got lots of membership tiers. You get access to lots of cool perks, exclusive members-only content, early content, stuff like that. You get badges, emojis, things to use during our live streams. Again, like, subscribe, and share, and I'll see y'all tomorrow.